You've not shared it.
Everyone wants to know.
We need it to be revealed.
There's another benefit too, and now it doesn't drip nectar.
Thanks for revealing that little secret.
Have you ever wondered why your Hoya won't bloom? You're going to love this because I sat down with Vermont Hoya, Doug Chamberlain, the true legend in the Hoya community, to talk about Hoya blooms, Hoya care tips, and other Hoya topics you're going to love. I have linked his website and YouTube channel in the description below in case you haven't met the legend yet, which I'm surprised if you haven't. Anyways, let's jump right into the video.
There are some people out there that is not familiar with you. Would you kind of share a little bit about your journey with us?
Okay, I started with plants when I was a teenager. I house plants and tropical plants, and an uncle of mine got me started in it by giving me a few African violets. So I've always loved plants since then, and I pretty much had them my entire life, and I've had different phases of succulents, cacti, and begonia phase. I had a begonia phase before I moved into Hoyas, and I started with Hoyas. I picked up we had bought a new house, and it came with a few plants, and I was happy to start with plants again, and we had some great windows in there. So I went to a Home Depot and I bought a whole bunch of little starter plants in 2-3-inch pots, and one of them was a Hoya carnosa rubra, and I started growing. Knew nothing about it, didn't even know that it flowered, and it did really, really well for me. And in a couple of years, it flowered with these beautiful flowers, and I was so excited. And it just sort of took off from there. And then I Googled them at the time, and it was early days of internet, and they were forums that were devoted to different house plants, and I found a Hoya forum, and then I discovered that there were so many different types.
Yeah.
And being an obsessive
Yeah.
person like I am, before this, it was aquariums for me, and
I've heard that from you.
So many, yeah. It's a dangerous thing when you have that in your personality. It takes over your whole life, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, no, it's true. So people in the plant hobby talk about you buy too much plants, or we need to stop buying plants, go on a plant ban. Well, if it's not plants, it's going to be something else. Because before plants, I was sewing, and it's like fabric. I was accumulating fabric for maybe a project I would do some of these days, and I have to show you one of the fabric I just bought.
Okay. Yes, lovely. I think I have a similar pattern on something. Yeah, I got Hoya duvet cover. My wife buys me a lot of this stuff.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
I should have brought it upstairs, but I just bought off of Etsy it was a skeleton with a Hoya entwined in it with the Hoya flowers. It was really, really cool. I'd never seen anything like it. That was the last Hoya merchandise that I bought.
That is so cool. I'm gonna make something with that, but I'm like looking to create Hoya merchandise because I just love them so much.
Let me know if you have something.
Yeah, I will. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Did you ever, like, when you had your begonia journey, did you? Okay, so begonia grows really fast, as you know. And then when you started Hoyas, did you feel something was wrong because they weren't growing so fast?
They were such completely different plants, and I grew my begonias in a very large aquarium. They were high humidity, and they grew pretty rapidly. The Hoyas they always grew pretty quickly for me too, especially in the old house.
Of course they did.
they liked me from the beginning.
Today we're talking about specifically Hoya blooms, because that seems to be one of the topics that comes up a lot for me with people. So one of the questions I have for you is, what's the most unusual circumstances under where you have gotten a Hoya to bloom?
I racked my brain on this, and the one that probably stands out the most, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, is Hoya a courtesy eye. I tried for years to get that plant to flower in a grow tent with high humidity and grow lights, and I could get it to grow pretty well, but it just wouldn't flower. I thought it was one of those plants that just wouldn't flower. So I finally got tired of it. And one summer I took it outside and I exposed it to full sun. And in Vermont, you don't always have a lot of sun. So I used to chase the sun and move a shepherd's crook around the yard and hang it on there and give
Yeah.
it full sun. And then I noticed that it started to bud up on some peduncles. And I think it was in like September, the flowers opened. I was so thrilled because at that time, people said it was a very hard Hoya to bloom. So I even made a video of it at that time. I think it was back in 2014. And I said in that video that the way to get this plant to flower, and the only way to get it to flower, is to expose it to as much sun as you can. And it didn't hurt it at all. And that's how you would get Hoya courtesy eye to flower. Well, I had to eat that statement a few years later, when I took that plant and I just hung it in a window because in an upstairs window in ambient conditions, in a north window actually. And believe it or not, in December, the darkest time of the year, no sun ever comes through that window. That plant flowered.
Wow.
So I just threw everything that I thought I knew about Hoya courtesy eye right out the window. So that's, they can always really surprise you.
Yeah.
So I guess that would probably be the biggest surprise. I've had a lot of Hoyas flower right in the rooting stage when you take cutting.
Yes.
Numerous times. Sometimes Hoyas that you spent 18 months trying to grow out before you could finally get it to flower, and then it would flower in 5-6 weeks in a prop box by taking a cutting.
Do you think it's the stress of of propagating it might like trigger blooms?
It could be. It could be a survival mechanism, thinking this might be the only way I can try to save myself.
If there's a Hoya that, I'm trying to bloom, cut it and see if it would trigger. Because I got a Hoya pendorata earlier this year, and the cutting, right now I have 3 peduncles, like blooms on there.
Wow.
And I'm like, and then another 2 are coming, and it's like a propagation. So I'm like, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Hoya smells. I know you've talked about this in all the other interviews I've listened to. Have you ever had any Hoyas with unpleasant smell? And I know there's one that you did talk about. Because this video is edited, I can edit and bleep things out. So you can just tell me. You've not shared it.
Everyone wants to know.
Everyone wants to know because we want to know, like, we need it to be revealed finally. At least I'll just keep the secret.
It's oblong acutifolia, and I'm not the only one who's said this before, but it smells like.
Really?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. But for the most part, they smell pretty pleasant to me. They're mostly just very strong perfumes. I'm getting ready in the back. I've got a Calicina Stargazer. It's got like 3/4-inch buds on it, so they'll be opening any day, and that's incredibly powerful.
You did say that. I actually while I was re-listening to that interview with Let's Talk Hoya yesterday, I was already gonna buy that plant because somebody had it for sale on Etsy. Because of like how your interpretation is that it's the most beautiful smelling bloom.
It is. It's one of the, at least it's probably the most powerful that I've.
Would you be doing a YouTube video on that?
No, probably not.
Okay. You're not really into YouTube these days, are you?
No, I've kind of fallen away from it, and it's the introvert in me. Sometimes you feel like doing it, but I don't know. I put out 3, 4, maybe a year. I used to put them out once a week. I think I have like 400 videos out there from when I started back in. I think my first one was in 2012, maybe, or I don't know. It might have even been earlier than that. I started by making the stop the what do you call that when you watch the blooms open? Drawing a mental
Oh,
bloom.
a time
Time
lapse.
lapse, yes, time lapse of blooms opening. That's how I started, and then I moved on from there and started recording all the different things. So many things that I don't even do anymore, and I
Yeah.
recommended at the time that no longer work for me. But yeah, there was so I think there's well over 400 videos. So I don't have much to say. And I used to do a visit with every Hoya as soon as
Yep.
it bloomed, and I sort of quit doing that. I've got so many that I just don't do anymore. Sometimes I'll just group them now. Like that last one I did on
Yeah.
Halloween,
Halloween
I
one.
put like three new ones in there. But
How much Hoyas do you have right now? Do you have a count?
I've never had a count. It's not. I guess it's just never. I've never counted in my life. I can only like estimate. And right now I have so many duplicates.
Okay.
I
Do
have.
you like that you have that, or
I,
is
I
that
you always have this fear you're going to lose this plant.
yeah?
So you take a cutting and you start it. So then you end up with 2 plants, or you have a plant that's huge and you just love it so much that you just got to
You want
start
to
another
another
one.
room?
Yeah, exactly. Like back here, I don't know if you can see it. This stenoki here, it's just like huge. It's 3 feet tall. There's a couple of blossoms on there, but it's hard to make it out. But I love that plant, so I started another one. So I have another one going in the basement, but I have so many. The funniest one with the duplicates is I have this Hoya that I find nearly impossible to grow,
Oh,
let alone flower. I've never got it to flower. If I ever flower this, I'm really going to retire from the Hoya business.
oh no! If you can't say that out loud because the plant will definitely not flower. I was going to tell you that you need to really be careful what you say.
Yeah,
Your
I don't.
plants will hear.
I feel confident enough that I'm never going to flower this. That I think I can say that, but we'll see.
What is the plant?
It's Medina folia. You know
Okay.
that one, the one that supposedly has blue flowers, but most of the time, whenever I've seen the pictures of them, they aren't really totally blue. But yeah,
Okay.
that one, and it's so difficult to grow. I had a really decent looking one recently, and I transplanted it up, and sure enough, I don't get a lot of root rot anymore, but you can tell, you can kid yourself all you want. When a plant all of a sudden stops growing,
Mm-hmm.
you can say, "Oh, it's just taking a break."
No, it's root
It's
rot. Yeah.
not. Now I have like 8 of those plants because of various failures, and it's one of the most difficult Hoyas of all to root. It's nearly impossible. There's people on. I remember seeing Toral Nyhus when she was still alive. I think it was Summer Rains or Oak Rains. She was in a video.
Summer. Yes.
Summer. She
Yeah.
visited her and saw all of her Hoyas. It was an incredible video, but she had a whole pile of those Medina folio cuttings, trying to root them in sphagnum moss stuff, and was having real difficult time. It's nearly impossible. But
So
anyways, I have finally
you
become successful. So now every time one fails, I manage to get it going. So now I have like 8 starts, but
okay.
it's never going to flower. It gets a peduncle at every node, but
Mm,
it will not ever bud up, and it
okay.
won't. And the peduncle always tends to be yellowish. So I don't know. They don't fall off, but I don't know. I haven't given up yet. I figure if I have enough plants, I can try them in enough places. Next year, maybe
Mhm.
I'll try one outside. I'll try them upstairs in a window. Um, I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
figure it. We'll see.
You've mentioned that some of your Hoyas need fewer total hours of light and slightly cooler temperatures to trigger blooming. So can you kind of share some more details of that? Because a lot of people still blast your Hoya with light, and more light. And after reading, some of your blog posts, I just know that it's not true anymore.
No, for the most part, the only Hoya group that I find that I think flower better with more light is the whole McGillivray complex.
Okay.
Your Archibaldina and Onychoides and Stenoki and Liliana, all of those. If you can give them quite strong light for at least 10 hours a day, they will flower a lot better for you. Mine are almost always in some stage of flowering, budding or whatever. And I think high light really works with them. But for most Hoyas, a lot of my Hoyas, I think would do better if I had less light. The ones that I have in my grow tents, they're overlit. So, and I only do that because it's so cold down there. The only heat I can get in those tents is from the heat that the lights give off. Otherwise, I would go with way less light because you can see that, they get sun stress and they get these ugly blotches on some of the leaves and all. It's because they're overlit, but I can't really do much about that.
Do you try heat mats?
I have, and heat mats don't work very well. Let me tell you why. It drives the moisture out of the pot too quickly. It does. It's hard to it dries it from the wrong part. I haven't had a lot of luck. The only thing I use heat mats for is underneath my prop boxes, which is like an almost 100% humidity, and it keeps it, a constant 80, 82 in there. That's fine. But in a normal tent or someplace or out, it just drives the moisture out of the pot and it dries it out. It's the same reason why most Hoyas, they don't do really well in terracotta pots.
Oh yeah, I tried terracotta one year and I took it out because the leaves just wasn't the same anymore.
It dries it too quickly. I use terracotta pots as an outer pot.
Yeah.
But all of my pots are they're all in clear orchid pots, but I keep them in the terracotta pots because it stops them from tipping over and it shields them from all of that sun, keeping the algae out of the clear pot. So that's the main reason I use it. And then the terracotta, it allows, with the plastic pot, just enough moisture to come out that it seems to be kind of perfect. That's why I use them. But terracotta alone, it dries it out too quickly from the outside, and you have a lot of root death around the outside, and Hoyas just don't do well that way. I guess if you had 90% humidity all the time, maybe you could make out all right with it. But.
Yeah. Hoya umbricata was one that you were trying to get to bloom, and it did bloom for you. You said that you tried it in a terrarium or an aquarium and it didn't do well. Because I was gonna take some props and put it in my terrarium that I have. So, but after I heard that from you,
you should still try it. For
see what happens.
Some reason it didn't do the trick for me. I don't know if it was simply too humid or what, but I couldn't get it right in an aquarium, and I had a glass top light and all that. And the only way I could do it was, like I said, I built a biome for it with, mounted it on its own giant log, and then the sphagnum moss came alive again, so it was completely green in sphagnum and ferns jumping out all over the place. It really felt like it was at home. And then I had a clear plastic tent on top of that. It was in a giant cage. It was like, it's meant to go under a rabbit hutch to catch droppings. It's a big plastic tray, so the whole thing sat in there, and then a clear tent sat on top of that. That was in my tent, with a light over top of it, and that's how I got it to. And it really flowered in a fairly short amount of time. So if you do get it, the
I
condition
have it.
is right.
I have one. I'm afraid. I'm kind of afraid of it though, because those folded leaves makes me feel there's bugs in it.
It would be it would be easy for mealybugs and things to hide in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Um.
never actually had the terrestrial mealybugs. Knock on wood. I've never actually had to deal with that. But
Oh,
that would be a great place for it to hide.
that would be. Oh gosh. So Hoya linearis. My Hoya linearis. I have been putting it in the closet over here, limiting the light because now it's just so cold here. I have, a lot of peduncles. I just don't want them to fall because every year they just fall off. So yeah, I'm doing that kind of experiment right now as well, where I'm limiting the light on some of my Hoyas.
It's interesting because I mean it sounds like we have very similar conditions in which we
Oh
grow.
yeah, yeah, because like right now it's 63 in the plant room, only because I had the little room heater here, but we like it's this morning it sat here at 60 degrees. And it's because we have two dogs that we just have to keep the house cooler for them. So yeah. But yeah, the plant room, I mean, this is a spare bedroom that I have as my plant room and office. But it stays pretty cold in here. So yeah.
Wow, that is pretty cool. That's much cooler than I have. I couldn't stand to be cold like that all the time. I
Oh,
had
I well,
70 in the
I'm,
house.
I'm in a sweater all the time.
The older you get, the it seems like the more I hate the cold. So yeah, I was just thinking. Actually, I was thinking 70 in the house. I really wish it was like 71, 72. So I'm actually thinking about creeping that up a little bit.
That's funny.
So
My father-in-law talks about 72 is the perfect.
see, I'm with him. The older you get, the more you seem to feel
Yeah.
that way. But yeah, you keep
Um,
your Hoyas pretty cool.
hmm?
Plant room. I love your plant room.
Oh yeah, you could. I mean,
Oh wow,
there's all that.
that's lovely. Boy,
Yeah,
that's a quite a setup. And those are in all the windows too.
yeah. I have a lot of windows. There's a north window and a west window,
That's beautiful.
and I have that.
Wow.
Yeah, and this right here, I removed the door so I can have more room for my plants. I pulled the dog.
You did. You definitely did.
Yeah, when we moved in here 2 years ago, I told my husband, I think I would like to remove the door. Yes, take it away. And there's also no door in the closet here. I used to have plants. I used to have plants in there too, but now it's kind of where I do like my waterings and stuff. Yeah, I'm crazy. I'm not as crazy as you, but I feel like, every few months I tell my husband, I think we need a greenhouse. We have 5 acres, so I'm
Oh, you've
hoping
got plenty of room to
I'm
have a
hoping
few
to,
greenhouses.
get him to get on board soon.
The trouble with greenhouses in our climates is they're still relatively short season things because you're
Yeah.
not going to want to pay to heat that thing through a winter. It would be an impossibility.
So actually, there's underground greenhouses where you don't even have to heat it. We've
Oh,
talked about that too, because you can even have citrus in an underground greenhouse. And I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago. And actually, when I was like a kid growing up in school, Vermont was one of my exotic places I wanted to visit if I ever traveled to the U.S. when I was a kid. So,
that's so funny.
okay. So, any other thoughts on the Hoyas that need like darkness and light and cooler temps or anything like that?
Well, I wrote down a few examples of Hoyas that respond to increasing day length, which is the most of them. As far as getting them to flower, that's the majority. But some of maybe that aren't as well known. Yves Rocherii, I don't know if you know that
Okay,
Hoya.
no.
Thin, long, thin leaves, sort of like stenophile, except they're wider. They get a pink flower. I can't imagine anyone having a bigger one. It's probably going to have to finally get restarted, but it's going to be covered in flowers pretty soon. but it's so big. After a while, they get so big you don't know what to even do with it. So that's one. Serpens, that increasing day length. Pisteolepsis will flower as soon as the days start getting longer. Vang viengiensis, you know that, Hoya? It's very similar to Carnosa, except they have furry leaves and it gets a white set of flowers.
Is that like the Thomsonii?
No, the leaves are like Carnosa shaped in size and all that, except they're furry, and they're in the umbels of flowers are like Carnosa, except they're white.
Okay.
Nice plant, but as soon as the days get a little longer, that will flower, and it does well right on the windowsill. It's one you just have to kind of like forget about. Some Hoyas do better with just don't think about them, just water them once a week, never look at them, and they'll just flower for you.
It must be an introverted plant.
It's probably just like us.
Yes.
Hoyas that respond to decreasing photoperiod, which is what we're going through now. Of course, linearis. It's like you can set your calendar by it flowering in October, just in a window. The lights mess them up.
Okay.
Keep them away from lights, grow lights. They just don't like it. It messes them up. So either they won't flower or they'll flower at some peculiar time of the year. Species IM08, the little tiny leaves, look like serpent's leaves. It was discovered in the last few years. You must know that. Do you know that, Hoya?
Is like Matilde?
No, I have a Hoya over here, but it doesn't show up on my webcam. The leaves on this look exactly. This is Pollyanna.
Okay.
The leaves on IM08 pretty much look like that.
Okay.
Little tiny. They're sort of like serpents. But
okay, I'm writing that Hoya down. IM08.
Yeah, it's everywhere now. It grows so quickly, so rapidly. I have a plant that's 3 feet tall, and it has probably a couple thousand little leaves like this. This Pollyanna, this is a great Hoya. So now this one is IM08 was my favorite small leaf Hoya, but now this one Pollyanna is right up there with it. It's vying for my favorite small leaf Hoya. I got this thing for appearing on that Bay Area Hoya get together thing. They sent me because they said, what plants are you looking for? And I listed 2 off the top of my head, and this was one of them. And they sent me this. They sent it to me in February in Vermont through the mail using an Etsy vendor. See, they're from San Francisco, the Bay Area. They don't understand how cold it is, like in Indiana or Vermont in February. It's absolutely the coldest part of the whole winter. But it was wrapped phenomenally well. I've never seen a plant wrap so well with so many layers of insulation. But I got it, and it was still in horribly sad shape because it sat in a mail truck for like 10 hours out there at about 0. But I managed to get, I took like 3-4 cuttings because the roots on it were completely gone. And I managed to get it started. So I rerooted it in my prop box, and this year, only since February, restarting it. And now I've got this plant that's like covered in flowers and buds.
That's cool. I wrote that down so I can look.
It's a must-have.
I'll get it.
Here's another benefit too, and now it doesn't drip nectar. So
that's
it's
good.
way up there in my book.
I know about your dripping nectar problem.
My God.
That's going to be the next step. Is that the next question on our list? We'll save that question for last, but the next one I'll say is, what are some of the pros and cons about Hoya blooms that you have personally dealt with? And I know dripping nectar is one of them of the cons for you.
Yeah, that's a con. The biggest pro with Hoya blooms, I still get a high after all these years. And it's the only thing that keeps me in the hobby is the first I can get those first flowers on a new Hoya for me. It still gives me a huge thrill, and I pull out my SLR camera and and take all these close-ups and use different colored backgrounds and take photos of it, and I get all excited. That's what keeps me going. So the biggest pro of Hoya flowers is that first flowering, and so that pretty much keeps me in the Hoya game. I don't know, the nectar dripping, it seems to have gotten out of hand for me, and I'm curious. I'm thinking it might have to do with the way I grow them now in coconut husk substrate and how I water them, so the media stays quite moist, and they every 10 days to 2 weeks they get submerged. I have to submerge the entire root ball, and then I pull it out. So the medium gets quite wet. And I'm wondering that's why I have such miserable time with dripping nectar. And I mean, some of these things drip like faucets. It's gotten to the point where I not only cut a lot of flowers off, but I've taken to cutting the peduncles themselves off a lot of plants just to stop it, because when you have plants all over your living space in your house, you can't have it dripping sticky nectar.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I deal with is after the blooms are done, it's like, there's always dried Hoya flowers on the floor, and I have to vacuum a lot, and we have dogs, so
I can live with that. I don't mind sweeping up the spent flowers and stuff, but what I can't, when you go to sweep them up and your broom sticks to the floor, you can't have that. And I'm a big thing for, I like perfect leaves, and I don't like yellowed leaves. I don't like leaves that have sticky stuff on them. So it really bugs me. So my plants get a fair number of showers, and but yeah, so I'm wondering if it's a substrate I use or not. But so when I discover a Hoya that actually doesn't really drip nectar, I get all excited, because I'd say the majority of them do. The Canthostema Hoyas are particular offenders, like Sula Wessiana. They get these, large button-like blooms. They just become sopping wet, like little miniature mops. They just so full of dripping nectar. And of course, I got rid of my carrii years ago because of that.
I have a carrii, and I'm looking forward to the first bloom, but I think after that I might just give it away after the first bloom, because I can't throw it in a river, though. It's gonna have to be someone else.
Yeah, I know. I kind of miss my carrii in a way. I haven't had them now for a long time, but most of those got chopped up and either given away or sold.
There's something you can do if you cut the blooms off. You can put it in silica, and then you can freeze that bloom in time. And
really?
It'll dry. So then you have your bloom that you can look at, but you don't get the nectar.
Maybe that's what I should do.
Try it. I mean, it's kind of easy. When you order it, it comes in this little box. So you just plop your bloom in there and cover it in the silica gel and just leave it, and then come back to it. So try it.
I'll have to do some research on that.
I'm a crafter, so I'm always looking for ways to preserve things. So.
That's great.
Some people are still waiting years to get their Hoyas to bloom. What is your best advice for them?
My best advice is to change it up. Just move your plant, even a small change in the microclimate from one window to another, from one room to another. It can be enough. It doesn't take a lot. If you're using lights, try turning them on for fewer hours, or turning them on for an extra hour to see, because it doesn't take much sometimes to get these plants to flower. I flowered a lot of them that way. Just small changes can make a huge difference in flowering. And regular fertilization, I fertilize every single time I water. Some people who say that they don't fertilize much, or only when they happen to think of it, which is every few months, they don't get many Hoya
Yeah.
flowers. So I'm hypothesizing that it might have something to do with the amount of fertilizing that I do.
Understanding your winter, because you guys have winters like us, do you still fertilize in winter when they're not growing
I
as much?
do. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do.
Okay.
I might cut it back a little bit, I might have the amount, and I don't use fancy fertilizers.
I know, yeah.
I
Just
don't.
normal
It
purpose.
just it just doesn't seem. I've tried them all, and it literally made zero difference for me. So I just use pretty much an off the shelf fertilizer.
In your interview with Let's Talk Hoya, when you search Hoyas on the internet, you're the first one that comes up, like on the search bar. Well, it's us. We're doing it. We're the ones driving traffic to your website, to your YouTube page. So, that's how it's happening.
Okay, well that makes me feel good. Hopefully it'll be out there for as long as possible. I've done this for so long that it's such a big part of my life.
Yeah.
It would be very strange to all of a sudden stop doing it. I was going to stop doing my daily
Rambles.
the ramblings, because that gets to be quite a lot. So I was going to stop at my 5,000th post, but I reached that about 100 posts ago, and I'm still going. So it's a
Okay.
very hard thing to stop.
I was going to ask you if you hit 5,000 yet. So I'm
I
glad
did. I did a few months ago, but it's
okay.
still going for now. Eventually, I probably run out of things to even say, or even pictures to share, because I take in so few new Hoyas now that I'm kind of running out of
Okay.
I'm running out of stuff to put up that might be new.
Well, have you, is the root mealy issue still a problem?
Truthfully, I don't think root mealies will ever 100% go away. I think it's just something that you kind of have to live with. I thought I was completely free of them.
Yeah, I think like when you talked in Let's Talk Hoya, you talked about it was happening to you then. So
Yeah, well, that they gave me some unbelievably good advice in the product that they recommended, the Pure Crop one, and I stuck with it for like 3 months, and it really did eliminate them, so that you could no longer find them on the outside of the clear pots that I use. They completely like disappeared, and then I stopped using it for a few months, and I discovered them in another plant quite
oh no.
bad.
Oh
So then
no.
I started doing it again for another few months. And then I was doing it like, I don't know, periodically. And I sort of do that now. Now, I thought I was 100% free. That's why I never want to say that ever again, because
Never.
every time you say that, it's guaranteed you're going to come back. Because I did discover them again in one plant about, probably 8 weeks ago.
Oh no.
It was a big Anna Kahonji. It was like 3.5 feet tall, and you could see them on the roots. It was clear. So I went right back to Pure Crop. They've
Okay.
disappeared again. They really hate it. It really does get rid of them, but it never say that you're done with it. I think it would only take an egg or something like that to, it doesn't take anything for them to come back. So never say you're really free of them, but you can deal with them.
Okay, so I am a newbie or a seedling compared to other people you've talked with or other people out there. I think, I don't know, I want to say 65, 70 Hoyas, but I've only been doing it for 3 years. I started the plant hobby 4 years ago. So 3 years into Hoyas, and it's my favorite one. So I've not dealt with Mealies yet.
I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I was blessed in being pretty much having so few pests over the years that it was bound to hit me.
That's what I'm afraid of. I just enjoy the plans that I have right now, and when they do come, deal with it. Your interview with Let's Talk Hoya really cracked me up because you talked about throwing the Hoyas in the river.
That was true, actually. That's what I. That's what
I
I
mean,
used to
it,
do.
it is the line that my friends and I now quote. Because if we have a plan that we're really having problems with, do what Doug does and away. So you're our guide. Question I have for you, and that would be the last question. Over the years, what lessons about life have you learned from growing Hoyas?
I think it teaches you perseverance and to keep on going even when things get tough. I've had 20 years growing Hoyas. I've had some, pretty bad things that have happened with the plants over the years where I've had to restart practically my entire collection, over because of changing to a substrate that I wasn't familiar with, and I completely rotted the roots out on literally every plant that I had. I never start things small either. I should have started by just trying on a few plants, but when you switch your whole collection over to something and then have it go bad, and then you have to restart the entire thing, and then working my way through the root mealy thing, because I'd never really suffered with many pests in the past. So,
have you ever had spider mites on your Hoyas?
Spider mites, I that was one of the few pests that I did have a little bit of experience with. A couple of them were particularly prone to that. There was a multiflora, particular Milky Way or something. That thing attracted spider mites like nothing I've ever seen in my life. But spider mites they're a pretty minor pest
compared to Mealies. Yeah,
compared to a lot of them.
Spider mites. That is what I do deal with that, especially January because it's so cold and humidity is so low. Spider mites just I don't know. It's like they knock on a door.
It's the humidity thing. When it's extremely humid, they don't do well at all. And so all my tents, I don't really have spider mite problems. But even upstairs now. But you know what? I have probably too much humidity even in the main house with all of these plants and everything.
Yeah,
the humidity is 55 to 60%, even in the winter time. So I don't get those.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably not good for the house, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, right now mine is sitting at 54.
54. Well, that's pretty high.
In January, it's like 30.
That's pretty low. I mean, I used to grow in conditions like that, but then I would run a big humidifier trying to jack it up.
Okay.
That will really shut Hoyas down, but it won't kill them. So I don't think it's a bad thing. But yeah, for spider mites, they would love those conditions, that 30% humidity.
Yeah, I struggle with it. It's like once that polar vortex hit in January, spider mites are on their way. Having your wisdom is a pretty big deal for our community because you have cracked the code on blooming them and taking care of them.
It's just something I do. I just keep doing it, and I say, how much longer am I going to want to keep doing it? I'm going to turn 65 in a couple of months, and I don't know, but I keep it up, and they're always surprising me and teaching and giving me, it gives me something to do. At least in my retirement, I know every day I have routines.
Yeah.
Like certain days of the week are devoted to watering certain plants.
Yeah.
I have a plant cart too that I go from room to room in the house, wheeling it around and doing my thing. But yeah, it seems like I have fewer free days. That's why I picked today as doing the interview.
Oh yeah.
Today is not
it's not a watering day.
It's not a watering day. Now my watering days have become Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday is my big ones, but it's also expanded into Friday now. So,
oh no.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, but it's not to say on those off days I don't. Sometimes I'll do stuff like repottings and restartings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you're always
Have anyone approached you into doing a book one day?
people, not seriously. No, people have
Okay.
approached it, but
I mean, if I had the money, I would. I would approach you to.
someday though, I would like, if we can find that person that wants to take this, Vermont Hoyas website over and that kind of thing, and keep that going, because it's kind of sad that will eventually go away. It's hard to keep something like that going. It's just, it's not, the fees, probably $300 to $500 a year to keep, but that's small potatoes. It's the work of keeping it
Mm-hmm. It
keeping
is.
it going, and you can't just leave it alone, because sometimes things go wrong, and I know I'm not a real techie guy, so I don't have the ability to diagnose problems or whatever. So then I have to go find somebody that can fix
I
it.
mean, you saw how I was today with the tech. I'm like, how does this just shut down? I don't even know.
Well, I had a lot of fun, I have to say.
Thanks for revealing that little secret.
You're welcome.
I'll edit that part out.
Okay. Yes. Maybe we don't want that out there. And I keep that plant around. It's like I've gotten rid of so many plants over the years, but I still have that one downstairs. I just restarted it. It's doing really well. So
have you thrown away a Hoya recently?
Yes.
Which one?
Yes, I've thrown out a couple. I just got rid of the intervariegated Hoya Bella.
Oh, okay.
A very large one too. It probably was in an 8-inch basket.
Mm-hmm.
Hoya Bellas, when they start dropping leaves, it really irritates
dropping leaves.
It sucks. You know?
That is this one right here. That one right there. That.
Nope. Now I see it.
It is dropping leaves.
Is it a regular one?
It is a regular Hoya Bella. And it was in the kitchen, the east window. And the leaves drop was just so massive. I thought maybe it was too hot and then too cold because we had a heat wave. So I moved it in here and the leaf drop has slowed down, but I'm going to restart it.
It's almost what you always have to do. For some reason, leaf drop on Hoya Bella seems to be the beginning of the end. There's not a lot you can do to bring it back. You can restart it. And then in that plant, I took a bunch of cuttings of the intervariegated Bella, and I was going to restart it. And then the more I started looking at it, if you look at the back of the leaves, they all seem to be like little, like pitted, So I'm wondering if it's also invisible flat mites that
okay.
That's what I'm thinking, and
I have
that was spraying the sulfur.
I'm gonna have to take a look.
But I don't know for sure. So I finally just I said I don't need this anymore. I've had it for a long time. I did well with it. I flowered it a bunch of times. I guess I just don't need it. I have so many other plants, so I just threw it out. Other plants, Sulawesiana, I got tired of messing around with that. So I still do throw out some plants.
And does it still feel good?
Sometimes it really does. And most of the time I don't miss them. But some plants that I've had for a particularly long time, so many years, I do get attached to them, and I can't really bring myself to get rid of them.
Yeah, it's part of our introvert charm because we're very loyal companions.
We are. They just, and then you get plants sometimes from people that they're not around any longer.
Oh yeah, you want to keep the plant.
You want to keep the plant. Kind of helps you, reminds you of them and that kind of thing. So yeah, I have a number of plants I've had now for close to 20 years, and I still keep them. They've been restarted many times, but it's still the original plant.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And
Thank you, Rachel. You cheered
if
me
we
up
ever
on it.
do another one of these sometime in the future, it will be a totally different topic.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, so that was a great chat with Doug. I hope you took notes because I did. I have a few things now to do in the plant room, especially with my Hoya Bella right there. If you like some behind the scenes update or just want to support my plant channel, you can join the Patreon family. I'll have a link in the description below. And while you're here, let's keep the Hoya energy flowing by watching the next Hoya video somewhere here. Enjoy the rest of your day and always remember you are loved.
I might be your biggest fan in Indiana. I think so. If you have merchandise, if you ever do merchandise, I'm definitely going to be one of your customers.